These little.
Quiche, mini quiche things.
Well, Rick could hold gavel, an oversized gavel.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Croquet, huh?
What happened to your big gavel anyway?
He got one more proportional.
I think you oughta use it all the time.
His last name, I think.
Could you get a top hat too?
Huh?
Get a top hat,
That's your
Yeah.
son.
like a Lincoln
Yeah,
hat.
in
That's
One-
gavel.
a long coat.
Yeah.
Too.
Hey, I gotta. Oh,
Okay, call this meeting to order. Council regular session, 7 p.m., Wednesday, September 5th. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, visitor comments.
Come on down. Oh, sorry.
Hold on. All right, let's let the band come up first. Come on.
The kids come.
Come on up.
good news first.
So to start off, I am Elena Stahl and I'm the color guard captain here at the high school.
Uh-huh.
I am a percussionist at the high school. My name is Haley.
My name is Waylon. I am part of the guard and the band program at the high school. And we are here today to talk about our band program shirts and the sponsors we would like for them. These sponsors help us wear these shirts that have logos in the back that basically keep us unified as all a group and together, basically setting us as a team. Getting the sponsors for these shirts helps us so we do not have to pay out of pocket or fundraise for this because we are currently fundraising for all of the other
Yep.
field trips or like competitions we go to throughout the whole season.
Students wear these shirts at their own free will throughout the year and the summer, as well as football games and basketball games. Any field trips we have as a band class together, we will wear these just to keep us unified. Community parades, like over the summer, as a drumline member, I had to wear mine through the parade. And then as well as like competitions, when we go to like PCI or Grants Pass, we will be wearing these as well.
Yeah. So why we're here today is we want to ask the city of St. Helens if they would like to do a sponsorship on our shirt, or if you'd rather get used to it, the spirit of Halloween Town. So what it is the sponsorship costs $175, and out of it is you get your logo and like number on the back of the shirt, which once again, like Haley said, we wear these shirts just about everywhere, and these shirts also last a super long time. Like I still wear my band shirt from like 2015 and 2016 all the time. And what you also get is that this year was something that's new, is that we're going to have like a little board that has all of our sponsorships names on them, and they're going to come to every single competition that we have for marching band, color guard, regular band, and winter guard. And so the sponsorships will be seen more than just on our shirts, but also by everybody else on a board displayed.
So you'll be wearing a new T-shirt with our logo on it too, right?
Yes.
$175. And what we get is you folks there at, let me think, Veterans Day
Yes.
at Veterans Plaza. Nice.
And you also
Nice.
the city also gets
And then we also get you guys there at let me think, the
13
Christmas
nights.
tree lighting. I like that.
13 nights.
Keep it coming. 13 nights. Yeah. No, you sit down. You s-
They do not have the authority to stand there and say exactly what. My name is Christina Sullivan, Public Relations Officer for the St. Helens Band Patron Program. What we do is we cover the high school as well as the middle schoolers. This year we've increased our band program by close to 30 students this year. So we're huge. We're actually going up. We've got middle schoolers and color guard as well. We have performances. Unfortunately, we try to do what we can for the parade. That's why you get your color guard and you get your drum line because of our scheduling. these kids work so hard, cans and bottles, they're fundraising as much as they can just to provide funding for the program itself, because we don't get a lot of help from the school. So we can't say that we'd be able to do that, but what you do get is these particular t-shirts went to California last year. So you get a lot of promotion in regards to St. Helens.
I'm not,
Local businesses.
I'm not sure that you have to sell it that hard.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
yeah, sure, we'll be there.
Doug doesn't have the authority to ask for it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I have to beg.
Well, I'd like to show our support for the St. Helens Band Color Guard.
I move
How
we
about you
take
guys?
$175 out of our council expenses and buy a sponsorship.
I'll
this.
second that.
I think we should do 250.
I was thinking about
The
that.
question is, if.
They didn't
the-
ask for it.
If the allotment would be, because you mentioned to do the city logo or to do Halloween Town logo.
Yeah, so you
So the
guys-
question would be, is if the council decided
I'd
if
like
we
the
want
city.
both
I would
logos
like
on
the
it.
city,
The city. You
Just the
guys,
city
you guys
logo?
are
Yeah.
St. Helens Lions. Yes.
yes.
I would concur with Rick with 250.
Yes.
Yep.
I'll
How
amend,
about,
I'll amend my motion to 250.
How about one for Halloween Town and one for St. Helens?
Yeah.
See, that's what I was
That's,
thinking, to do
let's do that.
both.
How much is
That would be $350.
350?
Yep.
You got room on the shirt?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay, I'm going to amend my motion again.
Because we're currently at 8 sponsors.
Eight
Yeah,
sponsors
we're
out of
currently at
12.
8 sponsors, and our goal for this year is to get 12 sponsors. So,
So this will
that'd
give
be
you,
two more.
this will give you 10, right?
yeah.
Okay, so $350 for 2 sponsorships, one for City of St. Helens, one for Halloween Town,
Yep, good.
that we take out of council expenses.
I
And
will.
then, can we, and staff will have to get you the logos.
Right.
We don't do that part.
We'll work beyond
I will second Keith's motion. Oh, I can't.
I think Ginny already did.
I
I
can't anyhow.
second the first motion
Yeah.
and the correction.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, girls
Thank
and
you so
guys.
much.
Kids.
Kids.
They
They're young adults.
Don't
That's
get-
right.
Don't get us in
I
trouble
know.
now.
Susan said kids. I said
I
young
did,
adults.
it was me.
Yep. Okay, other visitor comments.
Everybody's kids to me.
Steve Topaz, St. Helens Street. This is lead up to a question, and this is kind of precipitated by the announcement of a large request for a grant, or a request for a large grant to improve our waterfront. Going over the House Bill 2950, which was a request for a grant for the veneer property and some other stuff which was not granted as far as I can find out. There were some statements made there. There were some statements made in the St. Helens Waterfront Reclamation Project that I think should be addressed because they interfere with each other in a number of ways. And the first part of it is we have 3 pictures on this. There should be 4. And the first picture shows the mill in 1920, and it's the biggest important part has been cropped out because there's a huge toxic waste being dumped into the Frogmore Slough. The next picture, which is not there, is when this has been covered over with sand from the river, which many people have talked about. They used to have great fun as in high school driving over and biking on it. Okay, the amount of fill put in the late 50s, early 60s was 760,000 cubic yards covered the Frogmore Slough. Now the third picture shows the cooling pond or the cooling lagoon. Now in many ways this is illegal. The cooling lagoon was basically lined with a plastic liner, and the reason it's illegal, when you cap a toxic waste, you're not supposed to build a structure on it. In a layered pond or a film pond, it's definitely a structure. And one of the things we know about that is the toxic waste underneath gassed, and we had to breach the membrane for it to sink, which meant that the 760,000 cubic yards of fill is now contaminated, where before it was basically clean fill on top of a toxic waste. Now, the next part about it shows, here it's abbreviated, here's a better picture of what is going to go on top of the lagoon when everything's done. And it shows a multi-family housing in it and a few other things. And the lagoon, when it was going to accept fill from the Portland Harbor, was also going to be lined, which means the gassing that's happening underneath the present location would be pushing that liner up, and on top of that, particularly where the living quarters are shown, was where most of the toxic waste was. So that's some concern. Now, the official pictures or words from that the city put out about what they were going to do there says it's going to be clean waste, and it was going to be non-gassing, and it would not liquefy. Well, the Portland Harbor is being cleaned out because it's a toxic waste, and a lot of that is industrial, and recently when they closed down the last mill by the falls, it's also going to be a toxic waste. But the overflow of sewage from the city into that same river system says we've got a gas producer that's basically contaminated any of the sand. Okay, the other thing that comes up from the Oregon statewide geohazards shows that the southern end of this property is landslide territory. Okay, and the last thing we had was in the connector, we were talking about a road coming off the veneer plant going around the hill up past the sewer plant that was going to be narrowed because there's a bunch of plumbing for the sewer plant. Well, if the sewer plant's still there, it disagrees with this picture, which shows the sewer plant missing. And so the question really becomes now, as I've pointed out, there's a number of disagreements and a number of hazards. What are we actually going to build there? Because this can't be built from a hazard point of view. And we're going after money, and are we actually talking to people who are going after money correctly, or are we just making up a fairy tale? So what are we planning to put on the lagoon, the White Boise property?
That money, that grant money has nothing to do with the lagoon. Absolutely nothing.
I didn't ask about that. What are we going to put on the lagoon?
We don't know yet, Steve.
What are you proposing?
I'm asking you because I'm looking at what was proposed before by you. So I'm asking, have we
didn't
scrapped that?
We didn't
proposal and
propose
done
that.
something else?
We didn't propose that.
The narrow road is,
Three different
on the cool people, is actually, it is a
See,
narrow
that-
section
there's,
of
there's the, kind of the proposal
Plymouth.
right there, and it's for St. Helens. There's the pictures for the same thing. So that was proposed.
They're all drafts. They all can be changed. Just
All concepts.
won't, yeah.
There's a
all
lot of
Coming-
statements. of
Coming
what you
from
said.
our citizens, coming from people like you, that think differently than you. So that's what it is, a concept, Steve.
Well, a concept in a hazardous waste, one, if we had a consulting company help this, they ought to have their license removed because you don't put things in the landslide area on top of hazardous waste.
That study has not been done yet, Steve.
No, who drew up this proposal? The fact that this
It's a
proposal is
proposal.
drawn up and it shows living space over a toxic waste, that should not have been done. That's kind of first grade engineering.
That's a concept drawing, and we're not
It's,
talking about
as I
toxic
say,
waste.
At the concept level of putting something on hazardous waste is uncalled for.
We're not talking about hazardous waste.
It is a hazardous waste, though, whether you call it or not.
You call it that, yes.
If you take a look at the original picture of the
Department of Environmental Quality does not.
of this thing, 1920, you'll see that's a hazardous waste. And this is a picture's only a third of the actual picture. And we know that for a fact.
Yep, we understand those are pictures.
Okay.
So maybe I could just comment on the purpose of the funding request is to do the feasibility work to get to those answer the questions about the site characterization, the geotechnical pieces of it, and really the go no go. Is it can it be done safely? Is the question that we're exploring.
Mm-hmm. And then the road actually is, the connector road is coming up. The meeting's coming up real soon.
Tuesday next week.
Tuesday next week, is actually the existing road where it's at right now, as it narrows down because of the cliffs on Plymouth Street. So I don't think it's anything of piping for sewer or anything like that. Just to answer your question.
We have to do the connector road based on stuff we know.
It narrows down
We can't
because,
do it on stuff that we don't know will ever happen. So the connector plan builds on conditions that are in place right now.
yeah, unfortunately, St. Helens is on basalt, and that's what we're stuck with. You can't really move it too easily. So, all right, other visitor comment.
Shauna Harrison, 206 North Vernonia Road. So, the existing road, Plymouth Road, did that ever go through?
It goes through to the mill. It always has.
The existing road, Plymouth Road, that comes down to the waterfront, did it ever at any point in time go completely through to the front before the mill was there? Before the veneer plant was
Both
there?
gates used to be open. You could drive through.
Yeah,
Since I
based
can
on
remember.
what I understand, yes.
Okay. Well, I was just curious because of the communication. It sounded like it was a connector road, like at any point in time, it wasn't an actual.
So to explain,
Yeah.
actually, it's a riverfront connector. Like Cannon Beach has the loop, the ocean loop, the business loop.
Correct.
That's what it'll kind of be like. That's what we're proposing. So
It's
show
to
up next
fix
Tuesday.
the road has been designed for industrial use, not for like neighborhood use. The connector plan is not anything we have money for. It's just like to build plans so then staff can go get grants. So then when we do put a road in, it'll have the sidewalks and the curb cuts and all the stuff that it needs. Because right now you can drive through there, but you wouldn't really want to because the road doesn't meet current safety standards.
Okay.
So
And then, so DEQ has stated that the slough isn't toxic?
No.
I said, we're working on a feasibility study with DEQ. They are also interested in the idea, so.
Okay. But nobody's done a feasibility study on the sludge itself, I guess would be a,
current state of affairs, no.
okay. So.
On what sludge?
Yeah.
Wow, so
mean,
you're-
where-
wait, there's more.
Well, no,
there's
there
a
is.
lot.
There's Pope and Talbot. There's Armstrong. There's probably some out in front of Boise itself.
Oh, no,
That-
for sure. No, we're
and-
talking about the
And
development.
Then there's also the lagoon that has to be addressed,
Right.
of course. Then you have the Portland Harbor, which what they're proposing to bring is, I'm not going to say it's completely toxic like Mr. Tobe has described, but it's not supposed to be anything that's going to be harmful because there's a lot of stuff there. So what I will tell you, and I think everybody should hear this, is that you'll have DEQ, you'll have the Army Corps of Engineers, you'll have the City of St. Helens, you'll have the State of Oregon. I'm missing somebody.
County.
You'll have the
Of state lands.
EPA, state lands. You'll also have the Portland Harbor Keepers watching over that whole project too. Our river keepers, yes,
Right.
yes.
So there'll be a lot more open process.
And
before
something's got to be done. So it is more of a danger in the river right now as we speak, and has been for a lot of years, and we've all swam in that because it's volatile. It can move with that water.
I do not swim in the river, just for the record.
So,
Nor do I.
so one of
Hasn't
the
affected
things,
me a bit.
one of the things that this council is faced with, and we have been faced with, and we're trying to put out feelers and make plans, figure out where we're at with that lagoon. We've got to clean it up. It's in our neighborhood. We have that responsibility.
Well, I was
we don't wanna
told-
pass that on to our grandchildren.
Well, the thing is I was told when it was bought for $2 million that we were not responsible for the lagoon by someone down here.
Who told you that?
One of the workers in the office when right after it was bought, after closed session. She told me that it wasn't. I said that, and that was my biggest concern was the lagoon for buying it back for the amount we did. And she said, "Well, we're not responsible for it." And I go, "Well, that's fine. I could sell a house and say you're not responsible for the cesspool, but it's still your house, and the cesspool's on your property. So clearly, we're responsible for it." So, is there any?
It's on our property.
It is on our property. So she made it sound like there was some kind of exclusion for that haphazard.
On the
for some of
Boise
it there
property itself, not the lagoon. That's true.
On the Boise property itself, which would be anything but where the water sits. If anything's found anywhere on that Boise property other than the lagoon, yes, that was the
There was
deal
an
that was worked out.
indemnification.
Yeah. Okay.
But the city has always owned the lagoon. Not always, but we have for a long time.
Well, you retracted that statement. You said not always, but we have for a long time. So how long have we owned the
didn't
lagoon?
Buy the
Well,
lagoon. That wasn't
Once
part
it
of what we
became
bought.
incorporated in the city, and that's
Well, but the lagoon used to have like houseboats on it and things of that nature.
Yes.
At what point in time
Yes,
before it was given to Boise, essentially?
and the water's
No, it
on
was
there.
actually sold to the city years
Sold-
ago, yeah.
Back to the city with it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I just, we all learn something new every day.
I go.
And I'm just here
Yeah.
trying to be a collector of information.
Yep.
And because I care about my community and about the development that goes on here.
so. Go ahead.
So what we're thinking about doing is like every 3 months, having just a little open session where people can come in. We'll have staff available and ask questions. We were just discussing that earlier about how that would be helpful for people like yourself that aren't familiar with the exact details of stuff, because we haven't hid none of this. It's all been an open session. We've actually even the former mayor, I watched it for since about July, because that's when I thought about running. So I started getting active and participating like yourself, and you'll see that we really are very transparent. It's just like nothing leaves out of here. We were talking about it earlier with Patrick and Mark too. So
Oh yeah, I think it's just a matter of people being able to come down here and participate. I mean, everybody knows that everybody's so busy, and we can think what we want, but we're a commuter town. So a lot of people, by the time they get into town, they gotta get Billy off to soccer and make a meal and go to bed and do it all over again. So I mean, I really have tried. There's two sides of every story, and the truth is somewhere usually in between. So I just feel like the best thing to do is for all of us to participate if we're concerned about it, and to try to offer, solutions to the problems, because there's always going to be problems no matter where you're at, whether you're in government, whether you're at home, whether your kids or whoever. I mean, that's part of it. And the thing is that plans change. So the plans that come out and what ends up transpiring changes over time due to all kinds of variables. So I mean, I think the hardest thing is that people get information down here and they run with it and think that that's the Bible. And it's like, but that has changed because you didn't go to any more meetings and find out that this is the progress of something, follow it through per se.
And everyone has ideas, and it's like, okay, whose idea really hits that about how we're going to clean up that lagoon? How are we going to? That's why I asked Mr. Topaz when he was here, ridiculing a plan that is not a plan. That what's his plan? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And that's what I asked him. And so there's
Every day
caveat.
people
Everyone
bring
has
problems.
an idea how they're going to do it.
Where's the solution?
And yes,
At the end of the day, that's what we all need, and it's all for it's all for all of our best interest for the livability of anybody that lives here in this community.
absolutely.
So-
We
We're
like your
trying to work
opinions.
with the best professionals in Portland that we can get. So that's all we can
Okay,
do,
well, Maybe Scott Pruitt will get out here right away and get that all approved for us. So, thank you.
Okay, other visitor comments?
Part 2.
Topaskin, I did not come with a detailed plan, but I'll give you a few things that should be done. Lagoon right now, the water level is 25 feet roughly above the river level. The old Frogmore Slough is obviously at river level. My best thought for cleaning it up is remove all the water, all the river sediment that was put in, and return the Frogmore Slough to the river level and turn that whole thing into a very large marina, which means we have to pull out, which is now considered toxic waste, that PVC plastic liner, the toxic waste, which is now the 760,000 cubic yards of gravel or river bottom, and the industrial waste from the paper mill that was put in there for over 50 years. So that would be what I would do. Right now, one of the problems that we're going to face is the drain line, which is a 30-inch concrete pipe going out to the Columbia River, burps a lot of the, I'm not going to call it toxic, undesirable material directly into the river. And if the federal government ever stops us from doing that,
That's not true.
that
You're more than welcome to go down and look at our wastewater facility treatment with me if you'd like to. I will take you down there and show you where the outflow is and show you a sink running that is tested every half hour or hour on the hour as DEQ requirement.
may I finish?
Mr.
Is a
Topaz.
30-inch line that comes out of that mill that was used when the mill was there that has to be removed from the river. That's still in existence. Whether it's being used or not, one of the problems it does, it impedes navigation if you dredge the channel. You've got a couple of toxic compounds or waste. I'm not necessarily worried about the fluid coming out of the sewer plant, although I think the sewer plant will probably be caught with federal regulations about how you're able to dump gray water.
We just had DEQ down there not too long ago, Steve.
DEQ at
And-
this
and the
state
state
is third
people.
rate. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, Steve.
It is third rate.
You had your 5 minutes. We're done.
No, I've got three
No,
and a
this is
half
the second
minutes.
This is a second go. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about what state standards require.
The
'cause I'm
state
not-
standards do not meet federal. Like, let's go the I&R.
Steve, I'm not here to discuss that with you.
I know you're not. And
Okay.
when I,
You
you asked
can
me
call
for a plan,
DEQ.
and I'm coming up with a plan.
I didn't ask you
and
for a
you're
plan.
cutting me off.
And
Can I
how
ask you a
would you pay
question,
for that
Steve?
plan?
Yes.
How much do you think it'd cost to clean that up?
Yeah, how would you
Probably
pay for this?
30, 40 million.
Left,
Double that,
Okay.
at
if
least.
not triple it.
One of
And
the
then that's our
things-
taxpayers.
And how would
That's
you
our
pay for that?
city that will have to pay for
Okay.
What's your proposal?
Okay.
The one thing that is going to have to be done to protect the river, the federal government's going to have to get into this, and I think they're going to have to pay for it. The city has no way it can afford that. That's absolutely true. There's no way the city can afford that, and the fact that the toxic waste from the mills were allowed to be dumped in there for 50 years was a kind of responsibility of the state that they've.
Then if the
This-
government is going to do it, if they're going to pay for it, then they're going to do it their way. They're going
That's
to
correct.
plan it. Okay, then you're saying they're third rate.
No, I
And
said
you're
the
not.
I said the state is third rate.
Okay.
Remember, the Clean Water Act says you're supposed to put stormwater in a stormwater drain and sewage in a sanitary drain. And this state only requires that the sanitary drain be collected. Stormwater can go where it wants. So the state does not follow federal rules.
I'm telling you, okay, we're done with this discussion, okay?
You are welcome to your opinion,
Yep.
but
Okay.
it is opinion.
Any other visitor comments? Patrick? No. That's already blown. This
I like
go.
you better with the tie, Patrick.
I can't.
extra 2 minutes if you put on your
I can't. No, I can't. It was time to dress down. Patrick Berkeley, 254 South 14th Street. Second day of school, I was promoted from kindergarten to first grade. first grade this year, but I still I feel like
I
a
think.
kindergartner, and I've been writing down so many notes. I may sound like a kindergartner who's going this way, that way, and the other thing, but I'll do my utmost to try to focus things. One of the things we're starting in a lot of schools, I know St. Helens is looking at this, is the whole concept of trauma-informed care, how we care for our children, that many of our children who are not succeeding in school. It's oftentimes because of adverse childhood experiences. And in our school district, in our school, each of us teaches us to have a calming corner. Perhaps the city council might want to
We need one.
think of that. It's nice beanbag chairs and manipulatives and things like that. Anyway,
We used to call it timeout. Now it's called a calming corner.
yeah, it is. Well, it's more time. The timeout was more of a punishment. I think this is actually the calming corner.
Yes.
It really does tap into brain science, and it's my 19th year of teaching, and I wish I knew my first year what I know now. How I did not always serve the children in the best way possible to meet their needs. Okay, I would like to, first of all, thank the city for its work down on Gray Cliffs there with the new restrooms and making access to the river more accessible, making the access accessible, making it easier to get to the river with kayaks and canoes. I haven't been able to take advantage of that yet this summer, but I'm looking forward to it, because there have been times when I have waded through muck and mud to get my canoe out into navigable waters. So it's really great to see that thing going on, and some of the other things that continue to go on in the parks. I think kudos to the Lions Club, who's maintaining the park course in McCormick Park and things. Okay. All right. Now the bad news stuff. Not so much bad news. But I've been just reflecting on, it's related to the URA, but it's also related to the other developments that are going on, the $15 million federal grant for which we applied. The possible, which may be a catalyst for a $50 million investment by developers down here on the riverfront. And so I'm wondering if two things. One, again, is I was glad to hear that there's some talk about maybe quarterly meet and greets with city staff or whatever to talk about things. But I'm also would encourage more things specifically on your Facebook and in the newsletter. I think Crystal does a good job with Facebook posts and with the newsletter, but as I'm looking at that, I mean, it's the community stuff. What's going on at the library? Good stuff. What's happening with the recreation? But I think what is missing is frequent and regular updates about this kind of thing. I've heard a number of times council members, and I think Mayor Sholio talk about, good things happening, maybe some surprises in store, but I don't want to be surprised, and I don't want our community to be surprised. I want to continue to be involved in the discussion and have as much information as possible. So I'm wondering too, if it is time, perhaps because as Matt referred to, a oversight on the URA budget, if there is a time for the city council to be looking at additional staff that can help the city pay attention to administrative and legal issues. I know the budget, is set for this year, but the budget, it's not too soon to begin looking at the budget for next year. An election is coming up, and I'm saying potentially Ginny could be the only person here when that happens, depending upon these results of the election and who's maybe appointed. I think, Keith, you're still leaving, and who might be appointed. Again, I don't know. I'm not predicting. Of course, I didn't believe that a certain chief executive would be elected, and so heaven knows what's going to happen. So maybe looking at that, if we're dealing with $15 million for a federal grant, we're dealing with $50 million with an investor. And I've heard Keith talk about his involvement trying to help administer the Boise property and what that entails. And he's been doing that as a council member, as a volunteer, but he's going. Is it time for us to look at the funds or whatever we have to have additional administrative and legal support so that we aren't inadvertently missing these deadlines, some of the details and that sort of thing, and help us? I believe that all the city people, work their best, do a darn good job. John, since he's been here, has done a lot of great work bringing the council, bringing the city to helping St. Helens become what it can be. But can't do it all. All right. So I would just encourage you to begin to look at that, both in the publicity, getting as much out there as possible in all your channels of communication, Facebook, newsletter, etc., and the meet and greets and that type of thing, or even here at the council sessions, have a council update minute. This is what's going on with the URA. This is what's going on with the grant. This is what's going on potentially. I know when you're dealing with the developer, if you're talking about some, there's stuff that can't be said in public, but I say as much as you can say, get it out there. Thank you.
We have been talking about a community development, hiring a person for
Right.
community development.
To pick
So
up some of those
with the URA coming up, down the road, with the projects that are going on with the city industrial site, we have talked about that.
But
So it comes down to money, like you said.
realistically, we could use 6 new staff members and 6 new policemen. So
Well, I understand.
we got a couple $1 million laying around.
I understand. I served 6 years on the budget committee. I understand that, and I understand. But I'm also then thinking, and pardon me for taking beyond the 5. I think, especially since we are dealing with such large amounts of money, and then with that money's coming in, how can that money be used, and can it be used for this type of thing? And so, looking at that, expanding the possibilities of looking, tapping into that and looking at it. Okay, thank you.
Fair assessment.
Absolutely agree.
Thank you.
Okay, other visitor comments. You guys got anything you want to share with us? No? Okay. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, ordinance, first reading, ordinance number 3229, an ordinance creating the Parks and Trails Commission, adopting regulations therefore, and repealing St. Helens Municipal Code Chapter 2.16 and 2.64. Okay, B, ordinance number 3231, first reading. An ordinance to amend the City of St. Helens comprehensive plan map for certain property from the suburban residential designation to the highway commercial designation to the zoning district map from the moderate residential R7 zone to the highway commercial zone. Okay, and then first reading of ordinance number 3232, an ordinance amending the St. Helens municipal chapters 17.16, 17.24, 17.32, 17.96, 17.108, 17.120, and 17.128. Okay. Resolution number 1827, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of St. Helens, Oregon, adopting the City Employee Compensation Plan for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018.
Move we adopt resolution number 1827, 5A.
Second.
Discussion?
Question?
Yep.
Someone from staff explain this resolution and what it means,
Sure.
Matt?
Yeah.
John?
I'd be happy to. This is something that we used to do in the past. The collective bargaining agreements have their cost of living adjustments within their contracts, and then this is putting this all in one document. Everybody's cost of living, or what the wage is for 2018-19 budget, the fiscal year, and traditionally we did it. New finance director, a little different practice, but it's not that we're doing anything wrong. This is just a good, clean document to have on file for.
And there's more of an explanation in the packet too, if any of you are interested.
In a spirit of transparency, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that, and that's why I questioned it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Keith did too.
My question is have any of these been adjusted other than the normal raise over the last year?
The normal contract rates?
Yeah. Have we raised anybody other than what the normal raise was?
There is a reclassification of the planner in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
That's what I was asking, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
So maybe,
The wage doesn't change.
you know, if that happens during the year, maybe redline that one with an explanation under it or something, just so we know. That's what I had. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution number 1827. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Okay, award bid contracts. A, Three Kings Environmental, Inc. for concrete at McCormick Veterans Memorial expansion in the amount of $52,000. B, Pacific Stainless Products, Inc. and Webb Steel Buildings Northwest for covered shelter at McCormick Park Veterans Memorial expansion in the amount of $17,030. And C, Columbia Northwest Heating and Cooling for new heating cooling system upstairs at the City Hall in the amount of $10,447.28.
Move we award bids as read, 6A through C.
Second.
Okay, motion.
Question?
Yep.
I'd like to ask our city engineer and our public works to explain the award bid contract A and B. Any implications on that? Could you tell us a little about Three Kings Environmental and that corporation? And could you elaborate a bit on the steel building that Pacific Stainless has been awarded?
A little bit. I don't know personally much about Three Kings. Jenny Dimshow put out the bid request for that, and she's the one that spoke mostly with that particular company, but they're very interested in doing this project. And we did put out bids for this project in July, and they came back that they were the only ones that submitted a bid for the concrete pad, and it far exceeded our budget. Since we're on a tight budget, it's a grant. It's grant money basically, and they were interested enough in the project that they negotiated with the scope of work so that we could pare down not the finished product, but did a different type of coloration for the concrete that wasn't as labor intensive, and so it was able to drop the price down to where it was within the budget. So they demonstrated, and we're legally able to do that, by the way. If all the bids exceed your budget, you're able to negotiate with the lowest bidder, and they were the only bidder and the lowest bidder. So we did that, and we checked with legal counsel and everything before we move forward with that. There's no
Since
but
Thank you. Thank
but
you
yeah,
very much.
the bid is within our budget, and they definitely have displayed a willingness to work with us and to dedicate themselves to getting this project done.
Since we are adding color,
Mhm.
and this is a huge, enormous slab,
It's a very large slab.
and I'm thinking about consistency of color and the
Yes.
application of how they go about doing that.
Correct.
Because it all has to be done at one time, and if they start mixing one day and then start doing some other things this way, it starts to come out checkerboard and all kinds of things.
They
My
understand
question is, what kind of safeguards do we have in our contract if that doesn't turn out the way we want it?
Well, we would need to discuss that with the engineer who's doing the work on this, which Andrew Nemi is doing the work.
Okay, and so in the contract, awarding this contract, is there any language in there about that, or is that just going to fall on Andrew's shoulders, or how's that going to work? Or do we know?
There's a lot of moving parts to this. There's a company that has donated a portion of the concrete,
Right.
and the remaining portion of the concrete is coming in at a much reduced price. So they're the ones that are responsible for the coloration of the concrete.
Okay.
So we have not made that contract with them yet.
Okay.
So Three Kings will just be, they'll be doing the prep work and all of the finish work, but they're not actually providing the concrete.
Okay. I just wanted to go on record about if there's any problems with cracking or coloration or anything like that, that we have safeguards in this contract that we can go back on these companies, because this is huge. It really is a big
with
slab.
Three Kings, we wouldn't be able to control the coloration because they're not in control of that. It's going to be the donator of the concrete.
Thank you for telling me that. Thank you. And Pacific Stainless?
Pacific Stainless is going to be providing the beams and the columns for the shelter, and again, they provided a very cost-effective price, far less than what we could have purchased a prefabricated kit for this shelter. So, and then just the roofing material is coming from Web Steel, and Pacific Stainless is providing the rest of the structure.
That's good to have someone local
Yeah,
doing
it's great.
this.
Yeah, they're
Appreciate
wonderful with community projects.
Thank you for answering my question.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to award 6A through C. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approved and authorized for signature. Memorandum of understanding with AFSCME regarding part-time recreational coordinator position. B, quote from Axon Enterprise, Inc. for police body cameras. C, extension of agreement with CCMH for crisis intervention team coordinator. And D, request for proposal for flex court installation at McCormick Park.
Move we approve and authorize for signature item 7A through D.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve item 7A through D. All in favor?
Can I comment first?
Yeah.
The extension of the agreement with CCMH for crisis intervention team coordinator, that's coming out of the grant. That's not something that the city pays for. It's just passed through.
Cool. It's just a pass-through. I like them.
Kinda.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to approve item 7A through D. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 8, appointments to city boards and commissions. What do we got? What do we got?
I missed the first half of the PCC meeting, so I didn't.
The Arts and Cultural Commission recommends reappointing Kimberly O'Hanlon and Lisa Brooke to additional 3-year terms. They have not served 2 full terms yet.
Okay.
Move we improve those recommendations.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve Kimberly O'Hanlon and Lisa Brooks to the Arts and Cultural Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, consent agenda for acceptance. A, number 9. A, Parks Commission minutes dated June 11th, 2018. B, Planning Commission's dated July 10th, 2018. C, Library Board minutes dated June 19th, 2018. D, Arts and Cultural Commission minutes dated May 22nd and June 18th, 2018.
Move we approve consent agenda 9A through D.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 9A through D. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda for approval 10. A, youth program lead job description. B, exclusive use permit, women's softball at Kimball Park Fields 1 and 2. C, exclusive use permit for girls softball at Kimball Park Field 1. D, street closure, Spirit of Halloween Town activities. E, accounts payable bill list.
I had a question.
Yep.
I didn't
After
get
the
to,
second?
okay. After the second?
After the second? I move we adopt consent agenda for approval 10A through E as read.
Second.
No question.
There was some community questions last year regarding the Halloween Town street closures. Do you know off the top of your head, John, what the parameters are of the street closures? The question was brought in to bear whether it was necessary to close all of First Street, the whole weekend. And so that's what I was wondering, if an adjustment had been made to where it's only closed when it's needed to be closed, or if it's gonna be closed every single Saturday and Sunday for the whole month of October. I don't know that specifics. You don't either.
Well, I don't know for definitely. I know that the busier weekends is definitely, that's the plan.
The question being is that sometimes this is my personal opinion, having been down here, is sometimes it needs to be closed like from 11 to 4, not from 8 in the morning until 9 at night.
This says Friday at 11 p.m. to Sunday 6 p.m.
That's the whole weekend.
each weekend.
So that really hampers people getting to their homes, getting to their businesses. There's a lot of residences upstairs. So I
think one of the biggest issues with that, Jenny, is if you leave it open at 8 in the morning, then you're gonna have cars all over.
Parked
and by
everywhere.
11, they're,
Mhm.
Yep.
it's gonna be all filled up. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I think
Did-
that's why they have the earlier closures.
Can you amend it to say intermittent closures as needed, or given some leeway, depending on the crowd? Would that be a possibility?
Didn't we one year have permits for people who lived locally so that they could?
Yeah, there was more than a few people mentioned that, why is the street closed today? There's nobody down here, the weather changed, and there just wasn't anybody official to move the barricades to say, it's okay, the event's over or whatever.
I like the idea of a permit. I like that. I mean, just for that, even that off time, but they need to understand that, like, by 11, we need them out of there too.
Well, even if it's not the morning time, just at night for people to come home, I mean, it's gonna push cars up into the hill, up in Nob Hill. The people are gonna be creeping down that way then, and then they're blocked off over there. I don't know, maybe I'm making much ado about nothing, but
Well, we've done some outreach with the people that live down here and the businesses, trying to keep the service-oriented businesses to come up with a parking pass or parking in the lot behind First Street over there. It seems to work reasonably well. But yeah, there's going to be some anomalies. If the weather is particularly foul and it drives people away, then perhaps we do open it back up. And seems very rational. But,
I think about, just fresh in my mind is the closure of the Klondike, and the one full-service restaurant is at the very end of this block. And we're closing the major access to that restaurant. And so do people get free parking if they're going to eat at the dockside? Or do they have to park?
I would hope that they would probably be busier than they would if the street was not open. If we have to close it, that means there's a lot of people here and that they're slammed. That's be my hope.
that's been the case too.
Yes.
So it's basically close as needed
Particularly if the
then.
weather's foul. People are
Right.
coming
I'm
indoors.
not sure about that, but I still think, if I remember how the streets were closed, they can go over the hill and come down to the.
Hop over the hill?
Yeah, if I remember right, that's still available.
And didn't they just have a barricade, and then they had like a garbage truck down here at the end for just like I think they sponsored. I think is what ended up happening. Maybe it was just the one event I was thinking of, the main event.
Anyways,
Last year they had one of our backhoes across the street.
You can give me a key to that, and then it needs to be moved.
Got a new midnight job?
At the very least, we need some instructions for locals on how to get
at least some local outreach for local people that live local to know how to get home.
Yeah.
Let's do something about that.
Make sure that
Let's
we
make sure we do.
allow people, after the
Okay.
person was in here talking about getting to their home
Ed.
and not having disabled parking,
Yep.
we want to make sure we're not banishing them to Outer Mongolia.
You want to pass that down to Kathy and just have her keep passing? Oh,
Sorry.
that's
Addison.
Ed's
That's it.
card. maybe you could reach out to him. Super nice guy, so. Okay, a motion's been made and seconded, to approve consent agenda 10A through E. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So I don't have a whole lot to report other than what's been actually going on right in front of us is that it seems like we need to get out there a little bit more and be a little, not that we're not being transparent, but, and I know that we're out there in the community doing things. But apparently we're going to have to maybe do a quarterly sit down, whether it be at the Merriweather place. I don't know if this place would be big enough. Maybe we should have the first one here and see how it goes. And
Something we talked about years ago was, and the Chronicle was good with this, was giving them just an article every week, and it'd be like from the city, what's going on in your city, and that somebody makes up an article each week on what we're doing and what's going on.
I like that idea, but it's more stuff in print, and I think that we need eye-to-eye things. We need public forums. We need those kinds of things to really follow.
Well,
up.
we need everything.
This is great right here. You know, we need more people.
I had an idea, it popped into my head from earlier till now. I think Scott Burge has done this in Scappoose, kind of a state of the community. I wonder if quarterly seems too like a lot. But like once in the winter, once in the summer, something maybe at the senior center, like, you know, just like a progress report. This is what we're working on this year, and then an update mid-year.
Tualatin and Portland and other cities do state of the city.
Yeah, just to.
I think Hillsborough does
yeah,
too.
Whether it's annually or once it's in January and July.
Yep.
Just like this is what our plan is for the year, and then in July, here's our update. This is how far we got. We've obtained funding for this. You know, I keep asking about the sidewalks over by the high school and on over Vernonia Road and stuff. It'd be cool to let people know ODOT pushed it out. It's not us. We're hoping that we'll break ground in the spring, that people would have those updates. The newspaper would get those updates so they know, because people are like, well, they've been working on this, but we haven't heard anything more. Did they change their mind? And it's like, it's just a matter of the funding we thought we would get didn't happen. So we got to wait another funding cycle so people would know where it went, that we
So-
didn't forget.
I'm thinking that we get, sooner than later, we'll get Dwight Untie down here, his Tokala, and we will actually have a first meeting on that. And I really like the way Gresham does their council goals, and I got it at home, and I wasn't able to show you guys, but it kind of puts certain projects, it holds people accountable, whether it be Sue Nelson or Neil Shepard or Mayor Scholl, is the project owner, is what it calls them. And maybe we could go to something like that eventually, and then with everything that we have going on with the city, we could have those quarterly meetings beyond just those specific, this one project or these two projects, you know, and have the owners there to speak on what's going on with that. So
That's sort of a strategic planning method of.
yeah, it
reporting
is.
out.
Yep, it is. But it actually is how they do their goals.
Yeah.
I'll bring it in and show you guys. It's really, I really like it. So we have a very, you know, and I discussed earlier, we have a very cohesive bunch as far as here. Simon Date, I mean, great. I mean, soccer. He's doing great things with the chamber. New director Julia Jackson for CCMH.
Lots of new leadership.
Yeah. We've got a lot of inner collaboration and a lot of networking that has really been paying dividends as of lately, and I think there's going to be a lot of good things to come up. The last thing I have to report on is I will be at the Veterans Park in Scappoose this Saturday. Myself and Mayor Burge will be the judge of the dog show, so it'll be a good time. We're coming out to who let the dogs out. We've already made up our mind. All right, that's all I got. Council President Morton.
Well, what comes to mind right away is the youth that filled up our chambers this afternoon and this evening. Got our soccer shirts. We've got our band, getting our band endorsed on their shirts with the marching band, and I really appreciate the amount of youth that comes down here, and I'm looking forward to Mr. Muson's group come down here to start doing their reports on our council and getting it back into the high school. We're right on target, Keith and Jenny, with our youth council. It's exciting. It's really exciting to see that. It's something that wasn't around just a few years ago, and now it's nurturing into kids filtering into city council of all places, and that's very noteworthy. Good news about Armstrong, the Armstrong property, about someone's looking at it. That's really very exciting. A big industry leaves, and someone's knocking on the door to fill those shoes. That's extremely exciting, because it really, when that news came that they were about to leave, that was really disheartening. That was the fourth big industry that left our town in a very short time. So good news there. And I'd just like to congratulate the staff and everyone in here for getting back. We talked a little about transparency. Getting back to those people who come up and talk in that microphone and testify. And this never happened before either. This didn't happen years ago, where you'd have that exchange with them. And I like the idea of getting back to what those people are testifying about, either at the end of our session, and we got kind of sideways a little tonight, but we were getting back, and we had a good discussion. That discussion needed to happen.
We did get sideways, but I think if we know something that is absolutely false, that we address it right here, right on the spot, and try to do it a little more respectfully. I know I was probably a little aggressive, but I think it was the other way. I was feeding off the energy that was coming at me. But I think we address it. I think we absolutely nip it right in the bud. It's not going to leave this council chamber with somebody under the assumption that they really showed us, or that, they think they know something. When it's not true, it's not true, and we need to address it.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. So anyway, I'd like to congratulate the staff for involving yourself in kind of resolving issues that come up, and thank you, council.
Thank you, Morton. All right, Councilor Khan.
I think I gave a detailed enough report this afternoon, but I do want to comment that I agree with you guys about the focus on collaboration. I think I am really pleased that we are interacting with so many different agencies, different parts of the community. I think it's important that we all work together. We can get a lot more done working together on a lot fewer resources. So I second that. Also, as far as the city-county meeting, somebody mentioned earlier about what a good one it was, and where we talked about collaborations, and I've received a lot of feedback from the people that were there that thought it was one of the best ones we've had. So.
Good words.
Thank you, Susan. Councilor Locke.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
Was good. And I wasn't there. Sorry I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I had a little conversation in I had my doctor's appointment yesterday and had my infusion, and I gave a little spiel on our riverfront development yesterday, because we had people there from Bandon and Cannon Beach and Scappoose and whatnot, and they were all interested in the riverfront and wanted to know what was going on, and they were really glad to hear that we had things in progress and whatnot. It's really good. So, other than that, The only thing I got to say about Halloween Town is, and you know, I haven't watched the spaceship thing or whatever, but I would just like to see us concentrate on Halloween Town instead of other things that don't have to do with Halloween Town. If we're gonna, because we have a opportunity, and if we don't capitalize on it and do a good job, I'm afraid that it might go away. So I think we really need to concentrate, put some money into it, partner with Michael Curry and whatnot, and just put on a good show. But make it about Halloween, because that's what people are coming for. That's all I got.
Yep.
Thank you. Councilor Carlson?
I actually wrote this down ahead of time before all the other counselors talked about being partners. I thought
all
about
talked
it.
about it.
I actually thought about it when I was signing up my kids and thinking about how we partner with the rec program. I know Neil is always Johnny on the spot, helping the school out with this and helping this person out with that. But just to kind of, the council's always looking for opportunities, but I would hope that all of our staff and our community would know that the city is open to be a partner, just like with the youth programs and the soccer programs and rec. It's like, you know, we have equipment that, you know, we could save some money and it's for the common good. And just to really hang that sign out and say that we're part of the community, you know, whether it's building businesses or welcoming new businesses or new residents to our community or just supporting our school district. It's like, you know, I don't know what they've got going on, but they've really expanded their vocational offerings at the school with lots of carpenter and welder programs and different things they have. That's kind of a natural resource that could be public works employees 5 years from now, that they really could see that as a lot of kids that in working with youth council and going and spending days in Mr. Muson's class, kids don't even think about getting those jobs local. And how much nicer would it be to have somebody that has grown, spent their whole life here, to take over for Neil when he retires and know the history and say that I love this community, I want to live here forever, that they would be just as dedicated as Neil has been. But I mean, how awesome would that be to have somebody that's really committed to our town? But anyway, community pride goes a long ways to making it a better place for everybody to live. And I just appreciate all the work that's been done and in lean times, and things are getting better, but when we pitch in together, everybody gets a better result.
I've got one add-on, and Keith brought it up.
It's a go back.
And, yeah, it's a go back. And Keith brought it up about Michael Curry. And what a world icon, an international icon just down the street. And he's done every Olympics that I've seen, summer and winter,
Recently.
opening, The Lion King. He's world renowned.
Mm-hmm.
And not to involve his puppetry and his scope into Halloween Town is kind of, we're kind of
make it outstanding. Yeah.
We're missing just a little, we're missing, I think, a bet there. So there's a lot that you said about concentrating on Halloween Town, because it can be huge. I mean, really huge.
Okay. I think it is huge. 40,000 people last year. That's pretty impressive. Okay, we're going to go to department reports. Chief Greenway.
I have nothing to add on from this afternoon, Mr.
All right,
Mayor. Thank you.
we got your body cameras.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yes. Sue?
I would like to thank you for approving the new heating and cooling unit for upstairs, because we have gone all summer long through 3 months of 90-degree plus heat without an air conditioner upstairs. So thank you.
Yes. Neil?
I would just like to comment on Sue's comment earlier about Pacific Stainless being really community active.
They are.
We recently
they are.
had sinks made for Campbell Park, stainless steel sinks, and they made them for half the cost we could get them anywhere else. So
Nice.
just a shout out to them.
Appreciate all they do for this community. Matt? Nada. Okay. Kathy? Nope.
Can I get a go back for our chief? Chief,
Yeah.
are we short some guys now? Do we need to do any job? Have we got a new job app out or what?
You want to grab that mic and kick it on if you're going to respond.
We had one officer leave St. Helens, go to Columbia County, And what we have our CSO Adam Heartless, who is now scheduled to go to the police academy. And then today, as I speak, we have backgrounds being conducted on an applicant out of Boise, Idaho. So we are going to be looking to advertise to establish another list for police officer. But as of right now, we have our projected vacancies. We have people in line to fill them.
Okay.
But we want to get in front of the curve in case the unknown. So to make sure we have a list established to cut down the time, we can get them pushed through their training faster.
I just wondered if we needed to start that process or
don't
not.
have a
So
code
that's all I,
enforcement?
yeah.
Okay.
We'll have a new one.
Okay, I'm gonna
Thank
turn it to City Administrator John Walsh.
Just wondered if your Boise T-shirt, if you were or sweatshirt there, if Neil was going to apply for the position there in background check. I'm gonna
No.
our new
The mayor will
new recruit.
the mayor will appreciate why I bought this shirt. It was when Boise played Oregon in the bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they have our number.
I'd just like to echo a lot of the positive energy that's here in the room tonight, and the McCormick Park, the Veterans Memorial Project, that grant, expanding the plaza, having the cannon home and bolted down and out of commission now is all less likely to walk off on us again. So, yeah, the projects on the waterfront, they continue to be exciting, transformational, and we're putting a lot of energy into making those happen. And if they, if this grant for some reason doesn't get funded in this cycle, we will be right back at it and keep on trying. So.
Yep.
Yep, that's it. 11. The race is on. 11, 11, 11. So it seems like that's going to be a.
Yeah, that is going to be a big race. Yeah. Wish y'all luck on that.
What?
Andrew Nemi, I wish him luck on that. Right?
Been promoting it on the council.
I know. Okay, we're adjourned. Oh, and I'd like to welcome you guys too, by the way.
Yeah, thanks
Yes.
for coming. We
Yep.
like having an audience.
Dan and Tana.